Hi, you're watching Taste of Ulster TV. Today we're doing gluten-free, inspired by our friends in Ballycastle at Time & Co. We've got my recipe for a lemon and coconut cake. It's really moist and a really beautiful cake, so let's get started with it. So to start, we've got some coconut. It's desiccated coconut. All I've done is I've toasted it in the oven just for about 10 minutes at about 160. All that does is it brings out the natural flavours. It's going to really intensify the coconut flavour in that. Okay, so you're going to get the zest off both the lemons. And don't throw these lemons out either, because we're going to save the juice for them for the syrup. There we go, we just got the nice finely grated zest of the lemon. So that can go straight into our bowl. We're going to mix that with our sugar. And we've got some gluten-free flour here. I've also got a little pinch of salt in there. That's just there to intensify the flavour. And baking powder. Now, if you're really gluten-free and it's imperative that you don't have any products with gluten in it, make sure that you get gluten-free baking powder. A lot of the commercial baking powders actually got a bit of gluten in it, so always check the package beforehand. So that can go in. Now, if you can't get your hands on any gluten-free baking powder, you can actually make it yourself. It's 2 parts cream of tartar, 1 part of bicarbonate of soda. And finally, we can dump in our toasted coconut. And again, just mix that in just to make sure we've got everything mixed together. Now the next stage is to mix our wet ingredients. We've got our oil there, just a neutral flavoured oil is fine. We're going to crack 6 eggs into that. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll just mix them together, making sure that you're breaking up the yolks as you go. And we're not trying to introduce any air into this. All we're doing is mixing this together. So as you can see there, it's all sort of one colour. There's no bits of yolk going around. So what that means is we can throw in our dry ingredients. Okay. Give it a very quick whisk. All I have to do now is pour this into the cake tin and it's going to go straight into the oven. So I'll get my prepared cake tin. So as you can see, I've got it lined just on the bottom with a bit of baking paper. There's no need to put anything around the sides. This cake's going to rise up fine as it is. So pouring that straight in. Get every last bit of it out. So once it is all mixed in, we'll just give it a little tap and it just sends everything south so there's no air pockets in it. So this is ready to go into the oven now. Now the oven hasn't been preheated for this recipe, and the reason for that is we don't want it to form a crust straight away. We want this to sort of rise nicely as it cooks through the oven, and then it's going to form a crust towards the end. Okay, so I've got my 2 lemons from earlier. I'm going to slice them in 2. And I've got 1 lime. Lime goes really well with coconut and lemon as it is, so just 1 lime here just to add in a tiny little bit of flavour. If you don't have a juicer at home, just use a fork, it does the same job. And we're going to put that into the pan. In there we've got a little bit of light brown sugar. Okay, so okay. So all we're going to do now is just put that onto the heat. Okay, so we're just going to bring that to the boil. Give it a little stir every so often. And that's just going to dissolve the sugar. So yeah, that's up at the boil at the minute. Give it about 5 minutes altogether. Take it off the heat and leave it to cool. Okay, that's been in the oven for just under an hour. And I've checked it with a skewer. Just put it in, left it in for about 4 seconds, and it's come out clean. So with your syrup, what you want to do is just spoon it over. And it's important to do this while it's still hot. That way it's going to get absorbed straight into the cake and you're going to get a really nice lemon hit. And straight away, I mean, you can see that it's getting absorbed into the cake. This is really going to intensify that lemon flavour. Okay, so we're going to let that cool down now. It's going to take about half an hour to 45 minutes. Leave it in the tin to cool down. Okay, the kitchen just smells completely of lemon and coconut here, and thankfully our cake is cooled down enough that we can cut it. So what we're going to do is just run a knife around the sides. This just loosens it up a little bit and makes it come out of the cake tin a lot easier. Going to push up from the bottom and release our cake. This is probably the trickiest part of it, is getting it off this. So I'm just going to use a knife and just push it underneath it and gently ease it around, and that should release it. And there we go. So you don't need to serve this with anything else, it's good enough on its own. But there is my lemon and coconut gluten-free cake. Recipe's on the website if you want to give it a go.